Man wrongfully convicted for 10 years for a crime he didn't do has finally been released. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, and today on thedailymail.co.uk. So we're going to talk about a subject that really gets on my nerves. If you're a man in modern society, in today's age, and anything happens, in this case, this high school man's, well, he was a high school man. When this man was in high school, he had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend was found dead, and he was blamed for her killing. He was blamed despite evidence that there was other DNA at the scene. He was blamed for a crime he probably, most certainly, did not do. Wrongfully convicted. I just want the truth. Man wrongfully convicted for killing his high school girlfriend 10 years after she was found dead calls for justice in first ever interview since being freed following 9 years behind bars. It's always rough to read stories like this because it just goes to show you how society has it out for men. You ever notice how there's so many double standards, how if a woman does something, it's funny. If a man does something, he's a monster. When a man commits a crime, if he does commit a crime, he gets longer jail sentences, harsher treatments, while women get less. This has been proven. The data is there. An Oregon man who sat behind bars for nearly a decade for the slaying of his high school girlfriend says he just wants the truth. In his first ever interview since a judge ordered his release from prison, Nicholas McGuffin, now 37. 37! They stole his youth. Was found guilty of manslaughter in the death of 15-year-old Leah Freeman, who was killed in 2000 when he was 18. Now, why did they release him? What's going on? What are the details of this case? All of that and more after a quick word from this week's sponsor.
Zuck the cuck drinks water like a duck, but he also drinks your data. So tell him and Google to shove your data up their schwing-schwangs by downloading the Brave browser. It's free, blocks online advertising, and protects your privacy and data from evil tech companies. You only see ads if you want to see them, and you get cryptocurrency for your attention. Don't let Zuck use you to make a buck. Download Brave by clicking on the link down below.
And we're back. Of course we're back. How could I not be back? He was found guilty of manslaughter and jailed in 2011, but released last year after a judge ruled undisclosed evidence was found at the scene of another man's DNA, which could have led to a different verdict. So, okay. They blamed the boyfriend. They blamed him for this. But it turns out, and this is why the judge kind of let him out a little early, they found out that there was undisclosed evidence of another man at the scene of the crime. They couldn't match him. Oh, but you know how lawyers are. You know how prosecutors are. They just want to get that good record. It doesn't matter if they destroy an innocent life, because that would make them look bad in their stupid career. So what do? They pinned it on him because society doesn't trust men. Society's biased against men. And only in America can innocent men go to jail. That's the world we're living in. That is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a world where you can be completely innocent, but you're going to go to jail because society has a bias against men. And people wonder why men are fed up. And people wonder why men are just tired of it, which could have led to a different verdict. Of course, this evidence could have led to a different verdict. We have innocent until proven guilty. There's a reason for that. It is better that 10 guilty go free than 1 innocent go to prison. And you're supposed to convict people beyond any reasonable doubt. Another man's DNA would be beyond reasonable doubt. And I'm going to tell you why this whole case is bogus, just with some simple logic and my own deductive reasoning, which I don't think is that amazing, but probably better than these people. McGuffin has maintained his innocence for nearly 20 years in hopes that someone will come forward with new details surrounding Freeman's death. I want people to come forward with the truth. I just want the truth. I want to know what happened, he said in his first interview with ABC 2020 airing Friday. We have a chance right now to clean the slate and make it right. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people want that. I know Leah would. I know her family wants that. I want the truth for them. What more can I ask? So this is a picture of the man, now 37. It's kind of sad seeing him now. He looks tired and worn and battered, and who knows what happened to him in prison. All because society has it out for men. So, McGuffin was a high school senior when he began dating freshman student in a small town in Coke Hill, Oregon. The girl's name was Leah, and Mr. McGuffin asked her to prom, and she said yes. And here you can see a picture of them here at prom. No, I do not believe this man had any history of violence. I think he was 18 and she was 15. Some people might frown at that. I really could not care less. On June 28, 2000, McGuffin dropped Freeman off at her friend Sherry Michelle's house and planned to swing by later for a double date. Michelle and Freeman are said to have gotten into an argument over how much time the teen was spending with her boyfriend, which prompted the 15-year-old to leave the home on foot. So, Sherry Michelle was a friend of this woman who fought with the boyfriend. Maybe she should be looked at as a perp, okay? I've got questions there. Jealousy? One has to wonder. So, Michelle was jealous, potentially, and then Freeman stormed off, right? And this is where the story goes bad, okay? She was later found strangled and dumped over in a steel embankment a month after she went missing. The case went cold for nearly 10 years due to lack of evidence. Now keep all this in mind. She stormed away from the house after a fight with her friend and was later found strangled. Where in this is there a motive for the boyfriend, who apparently was having a lot of time with his girlfriend and happy together, to do this? 10 years! He was probably devastated. McGuffin came to pick Freeman up at 9 p.m., but learned that she had left and spent hours driving around looking for her. I went back to Fast Mark probably 5 or 6 times, he said. There was different people there every time. They didn't see Leia. I didn't see Leia. He was stopped by police twice that night because he had broken headlights, and he basically searched for her all night. He kept looking. He couldn't find her. Here's a picture of the couple. It's very sad. So the McGuffins and Freeman's mom, they both went to police. They reported her missing. She was found a month after she went missing, strangled and dumped. She was kidnapped. She was clearly kidnapped. It was like my world was over, McGuffin said when he learned of the news. He said it was the saddest moment he's ever been through. He was cooperative with the authorities. He gave them information. The case went cold. So McGuffin eventually moved on. He went to culinary school, became a chef, got married, had a daughter. There's some stuff about his past here, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't think it's that important. So this is some nonsense. Okay. I think they mentioned some stuff about like substance use in his youth. But if I had to guess, it's the Mary Janes. And I don't know if they use that as a reason to push this case back open and wrongfully convict him, but I think it's nonsense. McGuffin was arrested in 2010. Investigators rooted their case in the fact that he was the victim's boyfriend, relying heavily on witnesses who knew Freeman and claimed they saw her and the man after he told police he dropped her off. He was acquitted of murder the following year, and the jury failed to come to a unanimous decision, but was found guilty of manslaughter with a non-unanimous 10-2 verdict. Garbage. What garbage? What absolute garbage? Look at this destroyed man, robbed of his life. You can't simply blame someone after all this time has passed. You don't have evidence. And with no evidence, you're innocent. Let me ask you something. If he had really... She was kidnapped. It literally sounds like she was kidnapped and then disposed of. Where in all of this time would he have been able to hide this, not get caught doing it, holding her? No evidence. She was kidnapped. So again, he was let go in 2019 because, well, there was actually another male's DNA evidence. In building the case for the defense, Janice Pericol uncovered new evidence. Male DNA found on a pair of Freeman's bloody shoes at the crime scene did not match the defendant or any of the investigators. She took on his case in 2014. So they actually have the DNA of who committed the crime. But it was never reported. The sample was so small that the state crime lab didn't report it, but it was there. And that's probably the real killer, the real kidnapper. So they screwed him. They screwed over his entire life. There was DNA evidence exonerating him. They said it was too small to find a match, but it wasn't his. It wasn't him. So the judge, being a complete hack and falling for bias of, their own arrogance, says, this doesn't mean he's innocent. It just means that, it's not exoneration, but maybe we're just going to let him out now. We're not going to retrial. McGuffin's lawyer expressed disappointment that they continue to say that Nick is guilty, which is nonsense. They just want to defend their actions. And you know what? No one is buying it. So he's trying to find work again. He's trying to rebuild his relationship with his daughter. Who knows what she thinks, because she's probably lied to her entire life about her father. by others. So this is nonsense. Let's look at the comments before we close off this story, folks. Blue Capitalist says, undisclosed evidence of another man's DNA at the scene. I want to know if the prosecution knew about it and withheld this exonerating evidence, as Kamala Harris did as a prosecutor in California. This is a common tactic in government justice, where there is no interest in justice, but rather clearing the books. You see, sociopaths, people without conscience, are attracted to the authority and lack of consequences for immoral activities in government works. Which honestly, yeah. They love power, living, mooching off others, and have no trouble sleeping. Taxation is theft. God bless America. And government is organized crime. I agree. Screw them. They didn't want to lose the case because they didn't have enough DNA, but they knew the DNA wasn't his. This was nonsense. Sue. I hope he sues them. I hope he wins. I hope he destroys them. I hope he has the balls to sue them. This is sickening. To be a man in modern society, and this means that since it probably like 99% chance wasn't him, and I believe he's innocent, whoever really did it got away with it. So that's the real crime here, and that's the reason we have innocent until proven guilty. You know? You send the wrong man to jail, you don't lose any sleep at night, screw you. Manny Davis says, it seems he wasn't convicted by the standard of beyond reasonable doubt, but more on, yeah, he probably did it. And that's the problem. If you're a man, society assumes you did it, right? Society doesn't trust you. Mark says, this is dedicated to all those who say, if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear. And you know what? That sums it up. That sums up this case. Totally botched. Totally nonsense. If you're a man in modern society, you will go to jail for a crime you did not commit. Welcome to equality. Welcome to society. You know, it just goes to show you that there is no justice in this world. Only a bunch of morons trying to win a case. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this story? I've said all I'm going to say. If you want to support the work I do, donate on DonorBox. Links down below. Join me on Patreon. Subscribe to our if you want. Share the video. More people need to know about this story. I mean, I will always cover these stories where men are wrongfully convicted because I believe it's important for people to know. You know, I don't find joy reading about these cases because it only reaffirms what I already know. If you're a man, society will not treat you fairly, and it is a great injustice. As always, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.